Hey guys, it's Alina here, and today I have another first impressions video for you. Today's video is on Kat Von D's Vida Loca Remix Eyeshadow Palette. So before we get started, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you love first impressions videos and you want me to keep doing them, because I'd be happy to do that. So let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so I got the Kat Von D Vida Loca Remix palette the day it came out. I've been holding on to this palette and I haven't touched it because I'm getting through all the first impressions. And if you're new to my channel, basically how I do it is all the items come in, I don't touch it for my own personal use. I have them in a pile where I photograph them for my website, and then they get put in a pile to do first impressions. Once the first impressions is done and up, I can finally start using the palette or whatever. So when there's a lot of items, like during holiday times, it gets really hectic. So this palette is kind of a remake of the original Vida Loca palette, which was one of those smaller palettes that she used to put out. But this one is actually a 24 eyeshadow palette. It's Kat Von D, so it's exclusive to Sephora, and it's limited edition because it's part of the holiday collection. It's $59, but it's supposed to be a $110 value. $59 is actually pretty reasonably priced because the other palettes that she's been putting out, the Innerstellar palette, the Monarch palette, the Shade and Light Eye Contour palette, I believe those were all around $46. And those were only 12 eyeshadows. So you're getting double for, I don't know, like $14 more, which is pretty good. I know a lot of people had reservations about this palette because of last year's holiday palette, which kind of was a dud. Like, a lot of the colors were not very pigmented and they needed a lot of packing on. But this one has been getting really, really good reviews, so I'm very excited to finally dig into it. So the palette actually comes in this like plastic sleeve, which is kind of lame. It's a plastic sleeve. I think they could have done a little better with that, but the palette itself looks like this. What's neat about the palettes that Kat Von D puts out is that the artwork is original artwork. So the typography on the Shade and Light palette, like all of that is done by her. I mean, she's a tattoo artist, and tattoo artists need to know how to draw. If you follow her on Instagram, you always kind of see these sneak peeks, and she posted this a while back. She's been teasing us with this palette for a really long time. So it's supposed to look like a record. It pulls out like this. So, pulls out, and these are all the colors. I know when I did the sneak peek on my blog, I did mention about how I liked how the colors were arranged as far as in a rainbow form. I think that really helps, especially beginners, kind of keep track of where all the colors are and kind of come up with looks, because pretty much how a rainbow works is like the colors next to each other kind of go well together. You wouldn't necessarily put like blue with orange, at least not on an everyday basis. And then the neutrals are in the middle. I did mention also on my blog that I didn't like how they were physically laid out. I understand the concept is a record, but this is just so bulky. No one would ever take this on a trip, as much as they would want to. I know some people mentioned that they're gonna depot it, which I think it would be fairly easy to depot, and then you can just keep this because it's pretty, I don't know. There's just so much wasted space. Like, it didn't need to be this big. I understand the concept and all that, and I know I'm gonna get some hate for that, but it's just my opinion, you know. So there's 24 eyeshadow shades, like I mentioned, and there's a mix of matte and shimmer shades. There's only one shade that kind of seems to have a little micro glitter to it, so I don't think fallout is gonna be that big of an issue with this palette, which is great. The names are on the palette, which you guys know I love. One complaint that I have seen is that the way that this is kind of done, if you were to pull this out really quickly, or like pull it out of the sleeve really quickly, this is not very secure. If they had put some sort of magnet inside of here to kind of keep it in there, yeah, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want it to break, but it's very easy to come out, so you just have to be careful. It's not secure in there. The palette does come with a glamour guide with different looks. What I like about this glamour guide is that if you notice, you're not really seeing a lot of neutral looks there. At this point, there's tons of palettes out there that have glamour guides that are showing you how to do neutral looks. But I think what people struggle with the most is how to incorporate those colors, those bright colors. So I think it's really neat that the glamour guide just really gives 3 looks using bright colors. So apparently this palette's name comes from one of Kat Von D's tattoos. And if you don't know, Mi Vida Loca means my crazy life in Spanish. I don't know of the tattoo that she's mentioning, but before I read anything about it or whatever, I was like, Mi Vida Loca. I was like, Ricky Martin, living La Vida Loca? Like, yeah, that's I'm dating myself. So I know you guys are just dying to see the colors, so let's get to swatching. Alright, so I am all swatched up, so let me get closer and show you all these colors. So these are the colors again. So I started at Lyric and I went counterclockwise in the neutrals, and then I went out to the greens and continued to go counterclockwise. So that's how I'm going to show them to you on my arm. So here are all the colors. These were swatched with one swipe of color, and there's no primer on my arm. So let's go ahead and start with the neutrals. The neutrals are right here. This first color is called Lyric, and it's a white pearl. The second color is called Strutter, and it's a matte taupe. The third color is called Vox, and it's a matte chocolate brown. The fourth color right here, you can't really see it, matches my skin tone, is called Molder, and it's a matte butter yellow. The fifth color is called Noble, and it's a matte nude. The sixth color is called Skulls, and it's an iridescent pearl. And the last of the neutrals is called Black Metal, and it's a matte black. So once again, here you have all the neutrals. Now for the fun part, the colors. So this first color here is called Vinyl, and it's a neon green, and it's kind of a shimmery shade. The second color is called Misfit, and it's a Kelly green, also has a little shimmer to it. The third color is called Lemmy, and it's a grass green, also shimmery. The fourth color is called Hyper Ballad, and it is a sea blue, and it's shimmery. The fifth color is called Synth, and it is an electric blue. The sixth color is called Dark Wave, and it's a deep navy. The seventh color is called Echo. It's a blue with some purple glitter in it. This next color is called Muse, and it's a lilac purple. Then you have Anthem, which is kind of like a pinkish purple. Then there's Love, which is a shimmery rose. Then you have Swoon, which is a fuchsia shade. Destroyer, which is a bright strawberry. Rewind, which is an aubergine. Harpsichord, which is a metallic bronze. Analog, which is a burnt orange. Fran, which is a deep mustard yellow. And the last color is Legend, which is a golden yellow. So once again, these are the colorful shades. They're actually really, really surprisingly pigmented. The one that blew me away was Synth, because it's so hard to get color like that that's super pigmented. I think they're all pretty good. And there really wasn't any fallout. And what's nice too is that none of them are super shimmery. So if you don't really care for glittery shades or super shimmery shades, then this might be the colorful palette for you. My final thoughts on this palette are that Kat Von D has totally redeemed herself from last year's palette. This palette was so much more pigmented. It took one swipe of color to get some decent color payoff for most of the colors. Some of the neutrals blended into my skin tone, but that always happens. I don't think I've ever had a beige that doesn't blend in. I think that for $59, it's a really amazing value. And because it's limited edition, I highly recommend it. If you don't have a colorful eyeshadow palette in your collection, this is definitely a good one. I know it's really tempting to get like a BH Cosmetics or one of those like hundreds of shades of eyeshadow, but those tend to not have that great of color payoff, and the quality just isn't as good. And if you do have a lot of colorful eyeshadow palettes in your collection, I still recommend to get this. I think this is the kind of palette that people are going to regret not getting when it sells out, just because the color selection is so unique, but it's not like one of those massive palettes where you have hundreds of colors and it's like, oh, they just put everything in there. I think the color selection was really well thought out. I think that it's super on trend, especially with a lot of those burnt colors. The aubergine is very in right now. I think this is going to be a palette that would be great for anyone that wants to start diving into color. And $59 is expensive, but the pans are very decently sized. They seem like they're the same size as like her most recent palettes. And you're getting 24 eyeshadows. You're getting a good variety. For those of you guys that are afraid of color, don't be like, you don't have to have like a crazy colorful look, you know. Even just adding a pop of color, putting some on your bottom lash line just adds something different, you know. You don't have to have a completely colorful look. You can use one of these pops of color and kind of play around with it. If you're not into that, or you have a really conservative job or something, then use it for Halloween, use it for special occasions, use it when you go to a concert or something. Like, that's the time to have fun and play with makeup. And if it comes out bad, it's dark there, right? So once again, you can purchase this palette exclusively at Sephora. It's already in the stores, so you can pick it up there or you can pick it up online. I definitely think that this palette is going to sell out, unlike the one last year where they had to put it on sale for it to sell out. This one I think is going to go soon. It's been highly sought after and it's already ran out of stock a few times on Sephora's website, so don't miss out if you're definitely interested in it. So I want to know your thoughts on this palette. Did you love it? Did you get it? Is it on your wish list? Leave me a comment below because I'm super curious to see if you guys love this palette as much as I do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first impressions. Be sure to give it a big thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other videos. Hope you guys have a good one. See ya!